Hello France, hello world. Welcome to the Miss World 2022 head-to-head challenge in Paris, France. I am Loriela Martins, Miss World 2019 from Angola, and I am in charge of orchestrating today's event that is taking place in the wonderful Palace of Versailles. To start our competition, I now invite the blue team to speak at the head-to-head challenge. We will start with Miss Brazil, Beatrice Bueno. Brazil, your question is: Brazil is the 11th country with the highest rate of child violence in the world. This rate increases every day, even though parents are aware of this reality in schools. As Miss, what do you think is important to do so that this atrocity is not so present in your country?
Unfortunately, these are frightening numbers. Like a miss, I need to use my voice to give courage to all these victims to report. No matter how much this awareness exists, the vast majority live inside a circus of horrors, where they can't get out. My role is to use my visibility, and in addition to continuing to bring more information, I want to be able to encourage these children and adolescents, giving support through social projects together with the Child and Adolescent Statute. We must guarantee a happy and quality childhood for those who are the future of our country. Thanks.
Thank you, Brazil. We continue with Miss Colombia, Maribel Morales. Colombia, your question is: the majority of the Colombian population that consumes drugs is between 10 and 24 years of age. The most commonly used narcotics are cocaine, cannabis, heroin, and some prescription drugs. In your view, what strategies should be used to minimize drug use by adolescents in the country?
Buenas tardes, París. Tuve varios familiares que cayeron en el mundo.
Good afternoon, Paris. I had several relatives who fell into the world of drugs, and a strategy used by my family was the consultation with psychologists. This wonderful profession transforms lives. With more ways and access to psychologists, it would certainly decrease. Another way would also be legalization of marijuana would also help us to reduce several cases, because using it consistently and in a specific place would be a smart way to change that. Obrigada.
Thank you, Colombia. Now let's go with Miss Jamaica, Michael Simone Williams. Jamaica, your question is: in Jamaica, the use of marijuana is already allowed for some purposes, and recently the health ministry promoted a campaign defending the production of marijuana in the country as a good thing. How do you face this subject, being for many people something still very controversial?
Hello, Paris. Well, I'll be very honest, I don't really dabble in this topic personally, but I would personally say that marijuana is also very important in Jamaica. It has cured a lot of our population in hard times, and we're going to use marijuana only for good deeds. Thanks.
Thank you, Jamaica. Now the pageant expert, Miss Netherlands. Sharita Hayes. Netherlands, your question is: you're a woman from South Holland, so it's common for people to refer to you as Dutch. But, knowing that Holland is 2 of the 12 provinces in your country, do you think it is important for people to address the population of your country as Dutch or one with another pronoun? Is this important for the other provinces?
Good afternoon, Paris. Good afternoon, world. Well, culturally the entire population of my country is internationally recognized as Dutch. However, in our days we are a mixture of cultures, peoples, and beliefs that above all deserve to be respected. The term Nederlanders, in my view, is the most appropriate to use, as we will be referring to the entire population, not just a specific province, ensuring that cultures and customs are respected. For respect is the basis for a society to live in harmony. Thanks.
Thank you, Netherlands. Let's go to the last of the blue team, Miss Philippines, Samantha Walmick. Philippines, your question is: recently Maria Ressa, a Filipino journalist, was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for defending and fighting for freedom of expression in her country. As a result, she has suffered several lawsuits arising from her work, being sentenced to 6 years in prison. Ressa has been hounded since he dedicated himself to fighting government misinformation and fake news. As a voice of your country, and also a woman, how would you fight this kind of censorship by the government, to a Filipino citizen?
First, good afternoon. As Miss and spokesperson for my country, I need to be aware of the actions of the Philippine leadership, so I don't rule out the possibility that the censorship against Maria Ressa and the rest of the opposition against the current president is a way to hide their frauds and attitudes. With the visibility I have to help in the fight against any type of censorship for freedom of expression, I would never shut up in the face of these unpleasant attitudes towards the Filipino population, who suffer from our leaders' mistake of not speaking up to help. Thanks.
Thank you, Philippines. With you we end the blue team's head-to-head challenge. We will take a short break and we will return with the red team, which is made up of Albania, England, India, Puerto Rico and the United States. We'll be right back. We're back with the Miss World 2022 head-to-head challenge. And now we're going to continue with the red team. We will start with the also experienced pageant, Miss Albania, Nadia Marina. Albania, your question is: according to studies and news, Albania is the most tolerant place in the world, in itself dealing with religion, having seen its diversity, even though the majority are Muslims. How could you bring more of this attitude to the rest of the world?
Good afternoon, Paris. Well, during Albania's Islamic period, a current is starting to grow. Petkashi Islam. Although we are trying to recover from such a sad and horrible story marked by problems. But to this day, some Albanians insist on keeping this tradition alive with intolerance of religion. And that's a very sensitive subject and something to discuss and fight with, and something that's been difficult these days. Thank you.
Thank you, Albania. Now we continue with the one representing the country of origin of Miss World, Miss England, Avery Pearl. England, your question is: great country famous for carrying one of the greatest wonders the world has ever had, Big Ben, known worldwide for its imperial history, which 100 years ago caused revolt to 30% of the British population for its deep and burning sound, and for imperial royalty it was not considered sufficient to paralyze the attention of its people. In your point of view, what was the fundamental piece for the great monument to become world-renowned in your opinion?
Good afternoon Paris, good afternoon London. In my opinion, it was internationalization as a historic monument, a British postcard. In addition, Big Ben marked the history of England, especially in the audiovisual industry, which of course I believe is one of the greatest monuments in the world, behind the Statue of Liberty, Eiffel Tower and Christ the Redeemer, which are also as incredible as Big Ben.
Thank you, England. Miss India, Nana Durga Shanti. Your turn has come. India, your question is: you are from a country on the Asian continent with some religious traditions quite different in the eyes of other nations. On a local visit, a Brazilian journalist became world-renowned for almost leaving the country dead. She visited a village and saw an old man fainting outside his house. She quickly ran to help him and informed her family that she aggressively tried to attack her. As a Miss and Indian woman, how do you deal with this spiritual liberation religious practice for the Indian people?
Good afternoon world, good afternoon Paris. Well, as much as this is part of Indian culture, unfortunately this process ends up making India and India's future generations increasingly cruel and severe. Unfortunately I can't do much about this subject because it's part of the culture of my country and I'm a woman, and I end up not having much of a voice, but I can be a voice for the world, and with these attitudes I show how empathetic we should be to be and how conscious we must be, because the culture dictated in our country is not always the right thing to do and to follow. So if you have the opportunity, don't be afraid and don't oppose and help build a better future. Thanks.
Thank you, India. From Asia to America, we continue with the Latin Miss Puerto Rico, Laura Valerio. Puerto Rico, your question is: Castilian language. Many believe that Puerto Rico has Spanish as its official language because it is a Caribbean country, or English because it is close to the well-known United States of America. What few people know is that its official language is Castilian, and a good part of the country only speaks this language. As a Miss, do you consider the improvement of English important for the further evolution of the country?
Hola mundo. El inglés es de...
Hello world. English is indeed an evolutionary language, so much so that it is explicit that it is the official world language. However, as a citizen of a multicultural country, I think and say that the disengagement of our Castilian language goes against all our cultural baggage, and this is our mark that is engraved in our history. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Puerto Rico. The last of the red team and also experienced. Ashley Winter-Clint from the United States. United States, your question is: child deaths related to gunshot wounds rose from 0.36 to 0.63 per 100,000 children from 2006 to 2016 in the U.S. This type of injury is the fifth leading cause of child injury deaths. In your point of view, how can you minimize or circumvent this culture of free use of weapons in your country?
Hello world and good afternoon France. As much as the use of weapons is something that is allowed in my country, I don't think this would be a good solution, let alone a good example for our children. As a result of this, the increase in accidents at home, or for being victims of stray bullets. Generally, at this time of the year end and beginning of the year, countless messages of peace, love and affection are disseminated, but with this attitude of having a gun at home, it goes against all these preachings that people say. So we will not be conniving with this attitude. We are not going to have a gun at home. The United States is a country where security is relatively good, so let's do good, promote good, so that future generations learn about what peace is and what the issue of having a gun is at home is a thing of the past. Thank you so much.
Thank you, United States. finished head-to-head with the red group, let's now hear our Miss World 2021, Davina Graham speaking at the Palace of Versailles.
Hello world. I believe that everything happens in the time it is to happen. I don't know, I already said that myself, or it may even be glitching. But for a moment it never crossed my mind to be Miss World. I did my job, reached the top 5 and was happy for the experience. But life is these, it surprises you, and when you least expect it, the world returns you. I was acclaimed MWV, and I tried my best to use this title wisely and responsibly. Maybe I wasn't so present, but I was never absent. I only have gratitude for this experience, and I take with me the certainty that I did what I could. Finally, I say, let's be an example, that we can see reality and understand where we can act and extend our work. Let's be action, let's be work. Thank you so much.
We thank you, Davina. Thank you for following in my footsteps and Zuleika's footsteps very well and inspiring many people in the world. We will go for a short commercial break and we will return with the Miss World 2022 head-to-head challenge. To finish the teams, we will go to the head-to-head of the white team, made up of Belgium, France, Spain, Tanzania and Venezuela. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Miss World Virtual 2022 Head-to-Head Challenge. On site, the white team. Starting the head-to-head of the last team. Miss Belgium, Zoe Onnenberg. Belgium, your question is: one of the problems faced by Belgium, but like other countries, is immigration, where thousands of immigrants live irregularly in the country, frequenting the streets. How to circumvent these ills, in order to help immigrants.
Bonjour Paris. Hello Paris. My country is currently suffering from this serious problem. We can circumvent this problem by creating stricter laws and creating projects that aim to help immigrants who are irregularly in the country. And we must also help them with housing, work, etc., so that they have a more dignified and better life without prejudice and with dignified conditions for all. Only then will we be a country without ills and without inequalities. Thanks.
Thank you, Belgium. We continue with the contest hostess, Miss France, Ivana Kartad Hussein. As France is not fluent in English, I ask a translator to translate the question for the same. France, your question is: when we talk about France, we immediately think...
Quand on parle de la France, on pense immédiatement à la délicieuse cuisine gastronomique, à la beauté et au romantisme du pays pour être l'une des principales cartes postales d'Europe, sinon la principale. La France a sa langue officielle, le français, qui est une langue mondialement admirée. On ne sait pas qu'il y a plus de francophones en Afrique que dans la mère patrie de la langue, selon la nationalité, car les chiffres désignent l'Afrique comme le continent qui parle le plus sa langue officielle. Parlez au-dessus de votre opinion.
Bon après-midi Paris, bon après-midi. Good afternoon Paris, good afternoon France. Well, at first we can point out that one of the several causes for this to happen is the great demand of foreigners residing in French territory. However, we French always like to teach foreigners our culture and customs, and we highly value our local language. And that, if in a way it is a benefit, because we will be able to spread great demand in the international territory, our local traditions. Thank you.
Thank you, France. Now we continue with another experience in beauty pageants and the first transgender woman to participate in Miss World Virtual, Miss Spain, Angela Sanz-Vilton. Spain, that's your question. As soon as he took over the government, the Prime Minister of Spain, in one of his agendas, reports that he will abolish prostitution in his government. Activist groups oppose it, saying prostitution should be legalized and recognized as an economic activity. As a legitimate Spanish citizen, woman, in your point of view, how to intervene in this matter for the rights and well-being of women?
En cualquier tipo de problema que nos encontremos en nuestra vida, y sobre todo siendo líder policial, debemos buscar la causa del problema antes de intentar solucionarlo. Si alguien le pregunta a las mujeres...
In any type of problem that we encounter in our life, and especially being a police leader, we must seek the cause of the problem before trying to solve it. If anyone asks women prostitutes why they are in this market, I'm sure most will answer that it is due to lack of opportunity. As an activist for the rights of trans women, I work with several cases of the type. Our community does not have the opportunity to work and they seek their livelihood on the streets. It is the only alternative found there. What Spain needs is not the abolition of prostitution, but projects like mine, and several other institutions in the country that seek to direct these women to work in a dignified way, and to be valued like all others. Good afternoon and thank you very much.
Thank you, Spain. Now from Europe to Africa, Miss Tanzania, Olivia Ivy. Tanzania, your question is: recently the president of Tanzania passed away, the cause of death being shrouded in mystery. Opponents report that the same had his death due to the infection of COVID-19, having seen the president being a denialist, not having sought vaccines and not encouraging the use of masks. How would you combat this thought in favor of caring for the population?
Good afternoon. Vaccination is a safe and effective way to prevent diseases and save lives. Thanks to vaccines, it was possible to eradicate several diseases in the world. Despite all the benefits brought by the introduction of the vaccine, it is still necessary to maintain general care, such as social distancing, correct use of masks, hand washing and frequent use of alcohol gel. But, we need to encourage more and more the population to vaccinate, because the more people immunized, the less risk of death we will suffer.
Thank you, Tanzania. To close the competition, Miss Venezuela, Ruana Tovar. Venezuela, your question is: Venezuela is experiencing its worst period of human rights violations in the last 30 years, said sociologist Rafael Azcategui. As a consequence, the country is driven to the extreme level of poverty. How to act in order to maintain and guarantee the basic rights of Venezuelan citizens?
As a Venezuelan citizen, I could not be absent from this cause. It is extremely necessary that there is a government project to help people in vulnerability. It is necessary to demand from our rulers the right to come and go. It is necessary to guarantee our rights. Only in this way can we guarantee the future of the next generations. Good afternoon and thanks for the question.
Thank you, Venezuela. And so we end the Miss World 2022 head-to-head challenge. We will know the winner of each group on Thursday, January 13th in our illustrious final. See you there.